1 Peter 3:15 says, always be ready to give account of the hope in you. And a lot of people, when it comes to sound doctrine, if you ask them where they got that from the Bible, beware of people that don't want to go into the Bible and tell you where they're getting that from. It says be ready. And Paul also warns there's coming a time when there'll be false doctrines, false teachers. So many people, they're linking things that shouldn't be linked together, and they're not prepared to justify or to explain, go through the Bible, what they believe. And it says a lot of things we're preaching or teaching are not even fully in the Bible like that, whereas there's so much things that are in the Bible. There's so many commandments in New Testament even, and it's like be this, be not this, and we're not talking about these things. And one of the things is to stand firm in the faith. So what is the faith? One of the things is to be aware of or beware of false doctrine. What is false doctrine? So we need to be aware of certain things that are not being taught to us, certain things that are not being clear for us, and we're being told things that are not linking in the Bible as sound doctrine. See, a lot of people don't know what is sound doctrine. And if you don't know sound doctrine, then how are you going to recognize false doctrine? See, sound doctrine has 5 things I could say. 1, who is the author? Sound doctrine has to come from God. False doctrine will be originated from humans and demons. 2nd is what's the authority. When someone tells you something and they make it sound like sound doctrine, what are they backing up with? What's the authority? They're saying, oh, this other scripture, or they're saying outside of scripture. Because now many times people give you their experience. They'll be like, oh, they spoke in tongues and then this happened, or they'll talk about this little piece. And that brings us to the 3rd part of some things could be sound doctrine, but it's not sound if it's not consistent. It has to be consistent all through scripture. So certain parts that they'll teach, if they're just getting it from one scripture and there's no example of it, things like soul ties. Like soul ties is a human-made word, but they'll link it to some parts of scripture talking about in one flesh, but that wasn't talking about souls. It was talking about one flesh and things like this. So they'll bring some scripture, but it's not consistent. It's not consistent with the whole scripture. Even some debates about tongues. Some tongues, they'll bring in some scripture like Corinthians and certain things, but it's not consistent on the use of how they're saying, oh, the devil doesn't understand when we talk in tongues. Like where you ask them where they got that from what part of the Bible. So things have to be consistent. And if they're going to say, oh, the one part where it talks about mysteries, they're using their own brain to say that therefore means mystery to the devil and things like that. It's not consistent. So sound doctrine is 1, who's the author? Is it coming from God or it came from man? 2, who's the authority? When they say these things, are they backing up with the Bible, with scripture, or they're backing up with their experiences or other things in the world? 3, is it consistent in the Bible? 4, does it promote spiritual maturity? Does it make you grow, or is it making you come away from God? And then 5 is, does it promote godly living? Does it make you do what God has said? That's another sign of something being sound doctrine, that it promotes what God. Sound doctrine makes you live and have a right relationship with what God intended for his words to do in your life.